Where did I put that bottle of rum? There's gonna be another one around here somewhere. Here we go. You know, with the exception of the potential rum shortage going on here on the island, this entire ordeal is actually going better than I could have ever planned. Magritte? Poor thing, she was cast out of the storm and sundered upon the rocks of the island. A bit of divine providence, I suppose, from the gods that Burl used to scoff at. Now, the captain is a man about as broken as his ship. His body and spirit were smashed upon the rocks. His body, I was able to heal it quickly with my magics, but his spirit, I'm afraid that sort of thing takes a bit more time. The crew, and those purchased slaves, I think they would have settled for leaving on the Vale. I mean, sure, it's the flagship of the notorious Peg the Pirate, but she was still seaworthy after our encounter in the storm. For a while, I'd even considered stealing it myself and just fleeing this place, leaving them all behind, but that wouldn't be a very first mate sort of thing for me to do, would it? No, I'm gonna need a little more time here with Burl. It's a good thing Wrighton is about as gullible as he is lovable. It only took a few choice words passed from myself to Kissy, who then of course ran off to Wrighton. We were able to convince the entire group of slaves, and the rest of the crew for that matter, to just disassemble the Vale both. We're gonna take the scraps and forge an entire new ship right here on the beach. I can't believe that actually worked, by the way. But it'll buy me plenty of time for what I want to do. If that wasn't enough, it seems that blessings continue to rain from the skies. This island contained an entire mining operation full of strong-backed naval arms, ready to help with the reconstruction, once we feed them. Better yet, now that we've removed all those pesky wabim, the precious metals that they had mined, they've just discarded. They're ripe for the taking. How much more fortunate could I get that all the locals here, they don't even value gold or silver? A dragonborn named Cotto says his ship also went down in the water somewhere off the coast of this island, and it was full of crates with metals and coin. You take all of that and you add it to the platinum bars that we obtained from that dwarven princess, and you have yourself a treasure hoard large enough to become a thing of legend. That is exactly what I intend to do with it. Yes, that's what's fallen in my lap here, a fortune by which to create a legend. It's not by chance I've been stranded here with a gnome who makes maps and an elven minstrel. With their aid, I have all the pieces I need to forge a legend and be spread far and wide. A legend worthy of the gods indeed. All I have to do is find my way back through the Everstorm.
The Everstorm.
Yeah! Nice. Love it. So good.
And we're live.
All right. Remember to mute ourselves in the thing. Yeah. Echo.
Never.
Beautiful.
Those are real.
Well done, man. I love that.
Thank you.
That was so good. I am pumped. These retellings are so good.
So good.
Awesome. Get a little bit of the characters.
Oh man, we should pat ourselves in the back more often.
Yeah, just keep doing it.
You should have heard the first time Bauer sent me that script. I'm reading it. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. But do you seriously want to tell all this about your guy?
He was kind of about at that point where some of it's starting to come out anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it was great. I loved it.
And it still doesn't really fully tell you everything he's got planned.
That's okay.
Just kind of a lead in, so.
All right.
Welcome.
Good. That's good. Yeah, welcome to the show, guys. Hope you enjoyed that as much as we did. Man. Super
Hi,
fun.
everybody. Welcome to Game 18 of Everstorm. Open hand and closed fist. Where we left off, I know. That's like, if this were the old days, we would be within like 5 games of being done. And I'd be like, I'm out of content.
Woohoo, I'm level 6.
Every game, let's level. It'll be a good idea. Okay. Anyway, so where we last left off, the crew finally tried to get all their ducks in order.
Emphasis on tried.
Dark secrets were doled out and shared to a degree, and more importantly, discussion of actual goals were put in place. then, in the midst of all this trying to figure things out, they got a strange visitor. Of all people, an outsider, and on top of that, somebody from Balron's past, a captain he used to run with, who's now identified himself as in service to Wavin that don't live on this island and don't own this island, which has now opened up the crew of the Grits world a little bit to understand what's happening here politically. They don't know much more, but they knew more than they did before. And so with that, we're going to go ahead and start. It is morning. Everybody's woken up. You guys can see over the entire course of yesterday, after Ace left, you guys managed to focus the Grex to putting the two halves of the grit up on moved rock formation. And it took a long time. In essence, they were able to shift rocks inch by inch. And it seems to be a group effort for them to move more than Earth. But they were able to set the grit, and so now the two halves can be bridged. And the veil has been parked next to it. And so for the first time, it isn't just talk. It seems like this whole reality of rebuilding the ship out of another ship can actually happen. And a lot of interior work had already been done, but now seeing it like this changes things. You notice that a number of Duz's crew is not here. Some are in Wrightonville. And when morning comes, you can see that the half-orc is standing in the waves. And his eyes are closed, and he has his hands posed in front of him out like this. And he seems to be muttering things under his breath. You see that Kizzy is actually aboard the Veil, dealing with people, along with Wrighton. But the two guards still posted at the chest have changed, but have stayed at their posts. So now it's two different halflings than there were before.
Gotcha.
All right.
It's your day, Crew of the Grit. What do you do with it?
Morning, everybody.
Well, hey there.
Looking pretty good.
How's it going, Fulcrum?
Good. Good. You know, I think we made a lot of progress yesterday. It looks a lot better with the boats kind of side by side there. I think we can make this happen, yeah? And
Yeah,
then go
absolutely.
somewhere?
Well, I'm not so sure about the two-fronted boat. We'll have to make sure they turn that around at the end, but so far so good. It's looking pretty good.
So, I had something actually, Skeezer. I wanted to talk to you about, and some of the other guys as well.
Mm-hmm.
When we were walking back from the camp, there's a lot of things that have happened lately that happen really fast, and I haven't really had time to tell all of you certain things that have happened. So walking back, I think I might have knitted myself a puzzle in my sleep.
Now, say that part again.
Yeah, I know how it sounds. It's
I know how it sounds.
So Stitch. Oh, right. My tattoo. I'm calling it Stitch. That doesn't sound very good coming out from my mouth. Anyways, so I think you know how it makes my sword.
Hmm?
I think it might have knitted this cloth when I was sleeping on the way back, and there's been things going on with me lately that I don't really understand this. This is kind of relatively new, and I'm worried that whatever this is, and I kind of spent some time in between us helping out yesterday looking at it, that if I figure it out, I have a good idea what it might be, something really bad might happen. I think a lot about what was said by that weirdly nice but really scary paladin woman back in Shepherd's Point.
Now, hold on. What makes you think this is ominous?
I don't know, because it has to do with me, and I'm probably really bad luck on everybody who's around me.
Hmm.
I'm gonna rename you Captain Self-Esteem.
Why?
Never mind.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Seem to have so much in it.
the good news is that in terms of weird things, this is pretty par for us. I would say it's pretty typical. With everything that's been going on, this seems not too out of the ordinary. So you got yourself a new, what'd you say it was, a cloth?
Yeah, and I'll go ahead and show it. Think it's okay to show you. I don't really know. I have no idea how any of this works, or if there's rules. Well, here it is. And I show him the note.
I'll punch it back up again.
Sure.
Wherever I put it.
Oh boy,
It's in the.
hidden notes. Oh, there it is.
It's in there somewhere.
Hmm.
I actually think I know what the answer is, but I'm scared to say or answer it because I'm just worried something horrible is going to happen. And I was worried if I did it without saying anything. I was just really scared.
We're kind of lost at sea. We don't really know where we are. I mean, can it really be that horrible?
Yeah.
I
Yes.
don't know.
Yes.
I'm not sure that it could.
Well, do you feel like there's some kind of connection to well, it seems like a person that's talking to you here.
I know.
So you, well, okay, let's put it this way. If you've already contacted this person, theoretically, since you're apparently creating works of theirs,
I think.
well, then they're already here in some fashion, right? And-
Yeah, I think you're right.
And who might it be? Who do you think it is?
I really don't know. I think something having to do with my father, but I
Oh.
don't understand how.
Well, perhaps we should explain what this note is to those who can't look over your shoulder immediately here.
Sure. Do you think Cotto will be okay with all this?
Oh, Well, I figure if we don't figure that out soon, it'll be a problem long term. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's best just to deal with the bad stuff up front.
Yeah.
Bauer,
might not
Bauer
even
comes
be
hopping
bad
down the
stuff.
rock.
Hey, Bauer,
Hey, mates.
how are you today?
Hey, I was up overseeing part of the reconstruction of the grit. What do you guys seem to be gathering here on the beach for?
Oh,
How do you feel about
good.
keeping an eye on me while I do something potentially dangerous that might risk all of our lives?
So this sounds fun.
Okay.
It's basically what we do every day, right? It's just a different
What
one
sort of harrowing
yeah.
thing are you putting yourself into today, Fulcrum?
A riddle?
That doesn't sound very dangerous.
I guess not. I just felt I should say something, so I am. So if something happens, I mean, you guys know what to do, right?
Yeah. Well, let's have a quick talk with Mr. Cotto over there, who seems to be listening in.
Cotto is currently at his forge.
Oh, he's at his forge. Well, okay
Yeah,
then.
if you recall last game,
Sweet.
that's where I was. I finished game at my forge. I just lit it and I started actually smelting some metal.
Oh, right, yeah.
Gotcha.
You know,
Oh.
it does seem a little preoccupied. You could probably get away with it.
But I mean, he wasn't with us in Shepherd's Point, and I mean, you guys really stood up for me there, and I really think I'd be with them all now, if not for you guys.
Every time you guys see Cotto press or move any of the smelted metal inside the forge, you see tiny little zzz, zzz, zzz in different areas, and there's a strong smell of ozone when you get within about 5 feet of the forge.
Nice.
Well, it's up to you, Mr. Fulcrum, but if you'd like Cotto to at least understand. Maybe we can couch it in a way that he'll feel helpful. So, like, for instance, if you're worried that you being a partial devil or at least influenced by them in some fashion against your will, maybe you can have his help in putting you on the right side of things.
I don't know if it's ever against my will. I'm just
I'm
me.
not- I mean,
But-
I'm not positive he can care too much. He can clearly see you. He's not blind. He's standing right there, so
Sure.
he can't be too put off by you.
I would like him to like me. He's so cool.
That was too raw.
Is this like a blue skin sort of thing you have going on here? Is that what it is?
Blue people need to stick together.
I don't know. I just saw him
so
explode
cool.
that guy back at that slave camp, and that was totally awesome. And the first time I kind of was out on watch with him during the night, I asked
Anyone aware what the half orc's doing over there?
Hmm?
The half orc. Look at him. He's standing there with his hands out towards the ocean.
Was that one that was like at the end of the train?
maybe he's praying.
That half orc
Yep.
came off the same wagon slave caravan that Cotto did,
Oh,
but Koto's specific cart was removed from the train and came crashing into the beach. It wasn't until you all went back, or Casey went back against everyone's wishes, and retrieved the remainder of the caravan of slaves, amongst which was this half orc, and who's mostly stayed with Duz. Duz, who at the time he came off had a hood on his head, and this black-skinned, fanged, horned female thing. I say thing. She does not look like a tiefling. She looks like a tiefling with additional horns, more than 2. She's got close to a crown of 6 that go in odd directions. And she has multiple fangs going both up and down around her face. And she seems very, very thin framed, more so than a tiefling. And since you've seen her, no one's really interacted. She stayed with Duz's group, and you don't see her right now from where you are. Continue.
I'm not
You
sure
asked.
what he's up to over there.
Well, I don't know. I'm sure it's
Well,
some morning
I'm sure it's
ritual.
nothing too important then. If it's nothing that important, then what is your riddle that you have for us today, Fulcrum?
Well, it's on this paper, and I do think I agree with Skeezer. We probably should let Cotto know some of these things up front. He did kind of give me a scary look when we were out in the woods and kind of sniffed at me and said, "I'll deal with that later."
Do Dragonborns hate puzzles?
No,
I think
he
this
meant-
one specifically.
Dude, Dragonborn solid puzzle.
That's an inside joke about the player of Cotto hating puzzles.
For all the viewers at home.
So, I mean, you can have a look at it, Bauer, and I think I might know, but I guess someone checking my work would help.
Bauer takes a look at it. Ah, yes. It's an easy one.
Well, what do you think is the answer
Took
there?
me a really long time.
I don't want to ruin it for him.
Okay. So, keep
Well then,
circulating.
Falcon, why don't you read the clues out to us and then tell us what you think?
I don't even know if I can read this on my
Oh, sure. I'd like to tell Cotto too. Right?
Well, very well. That's your choice.
Sure. I'm gonna kind of go over and.
What is this made out of?
Don't ask.
I think it's made out of his essence. Maybe his
Hey,
demons. or
Mr.
devils.
Cotto, sir.
Yes, blue one.
I know you're busy, but I wanted to say that it's been a real pleasure working with you the last few days and helping you rescue your compatriots. And I just want to know that sometimes weird stuff happens with me, and I just wanted to know that, tell you up front that in case something like that ever happens, and I start, if I do anything bad, I know you'd be good enough to help, just like everybody else, right?
I do not understand. horned one.
Yeah, I'm really bad at this.
So I walk over behind him and I put my arm around Fulcrum. I'm like, he wants you to like him. And he's afraid that you're not going to like him.
Why
That's
wouldn't
it.
I like you?
Couric smells the
Well,
desperation in the air, and Couric decides to go on the opposite side of the forge and snuggle down.
because of
He
the
just, he has a hard time making friends sometimes.
people that I'm close to, or were close to, they hurt a lot of people. I just want to try and prove I'm not like any of them, and I'm just always afraid that maybe I kind of am deep down, and that's why, I guess.
I struggle with issues just like you.
Really?
I feel I am not worthy because of my scales. You see, I am a half-breed.
I didn't
So,
realize.
I understand what it feels like to not belong. You are safe with me. You are a good person.
Thanks, Cotto.
Yes.
Um,
But if I smell
Okay.
that devil taint on you again, I'll probably take your head.
Sure. You know what? You should probably keep an eye out for that, like, really soon. So, anyways, so guys, that's all. I have this came from, what it says is that it has this kind of checkbox laid out. You can see here, and these lines divide up these stars. And I think what the passage here is trying to tell me is where all these entities, which star represents them. And it says that Maw cannot see Urge because Take is in the way. Rage is directly, not diagonally, across the street from Maw, and I think when it says street, it means like these lines. Self is west of Urge. Self has to cross 3 paths to reach Root. And the paths, I think, like mentioned with the streets before, I think they're the line. Want is east of Urge. Where am I, Fulcrum?
A classic puzzle.
There's 8 stars, and I counted 7 titles, names, and I think I've figured it out. And what I think it is that I kind of started thinking about it starting with Urge, because it said Urge had something to the west and east of it, and only this top star on the top row had stars on either side of it. So I was thinking that must be Urge, and if that's Urge, then Self is on its left and Want is on its right. And so I kind of started from there.
So far, so good.
So once I had known all that, I know that Self has 3 paths it needs to cross to reach Root. And the only star I can find on the box where I crossed 3 of the lines to reach another was from that top left, which I said was Self, then all the way down to the most bottom star at the very bottom here. So then, with that being Root, I kind of came back to Maw cannot see Urge because Take is in the way. And this one kind of had me stuck for a little bit. But what I think I figured out is that Maw is below Self. And that if that is the case, Take must be diagonally between Maw and Urge, because that's the only way it could block it. I kind of thought that Maw might have been where Root was, but then Self needing to cross 3 paths to reach it didn't seem to make any sense and didn't work any other way I could see, at least that I could figure out. I don't know if I've never been all that great at puzzles, I don't think. But
well, I'd say you've been pretty good on this one.
Okay. So if that's where Maw is, and Rage is directly and not diagonally across the street from Maw, so that would make Rage third row down and one in. Basically the bottommost star in that center box there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that puts every name on every single star except for this one. And I tap my finger of my tattooed